Aaron, how are you, sir?
Booney, I am excellent as always, my friend. How are you?
Good. Let me get this music out of the way and get us all lined up. Having a little bit of a technical difficulties. It's going to happen from time to time, and there we go. Hey, I got to hand this to you, man. I am jealous a little bit of exactly where you're at, what you're doing, but you're in Arizona right now. Spring training. You're making deals. You're making lineups. Let us know what's going on out there, and how's it going the first couple of days? You've been to how many games so far?
I've been to 2 games. I flew out from San Diego yesterday morning, dropped my stuff off at the hotel, and promptly Ubered out to Surprise Stadium, home of the Royals and Rangers, to see the Athletics take on Kansas City, and then turned that into a doubleheader. I went across town to Peoria. Saw the Diamondbacks and Mariners, did a little advanced scouting, AL West scouting for the A's. So I did that.
That's great. You sent in your report already?
Yeah, I'm hoping to get reports done, get those files completed. Booney, I know that you asked to have them before 8. I'm a little late, right. But I'll get those things processed to you in due time, sir. I promise.
You saw Jamie Arnold yesterday. What was your take? First time anybody's seen him. He got through a clean inning as far as no runs allowed. It seemed like he was a little wild, but us over here who are not over there have to depend on game day and tracking pitches and so forth.
Yeah, I think it's important for people to understand this was literally his professional debut, his first professional outing. He did not pitch last year. The A's shut him down after the draft. And he came out and he looked good. The delivery, that weird kind of funky 3/4-ish delivery is going to be an absolute problem for major league hitters to pick up on. His first batter gave up an infield single, but he saw him off on a broken bat. It was a great pitch. The slider is legit. I joked on social media. I had to check with the experts just to make sure that I wasn't overselling it, and wanted to make sure that they thought his slider was that good.
Yeah,
and that thing could spit shine your shoes, Booney. It is that good. I think he did have trouble throwing strikes. Again, I think there was some nerves kind of in there. Austin Wynns, our backup catcher, was catching.
He gunned out a guy at third. I saw that. That was a big play.
Yes, he did. And that was huge. And I really think that kind of settled him down.
Yeah.
Kind of the composure's there, but obviously, it's just going to come with reps and experience out on the mound. But he looked great. I was after one inning, after I think 18 pitches, not to put too fine a point on this, Booney, but I'm a believer. I am an absolute believer in this kid, and I cannot wait to see what he does wherever he's assigned in the minors. And fingers crossed, if he gets that cup of coffee at the end of the season, I'm really looking forward to it.
Let me ask you, Aaron, do you think there's a chance that he takes a similar? I think it's different with pitchers, but do you think there's a chance he takes maybe a similar role or type of path to the majors as Kurtz did? Maybe if he's lighting up, let's say he starts in AAA, and AAA is a hitter's ballpark, and let's say after 3 starts, he allows 2 earned runs and strikes out 16.
I think there's a very legitimate chance that he could take a similar Kurtzian path to the big leagues. I think the scuttlebutt, the scouting report on him when he was drafted was that he was probably the closest to the majors, first round pitcher who was closest to the majors. And I can see that. Again, he looked, even with the struggle to throw strikes yesterday, he looked incredibly composed, incredibly calm out there. And I really think that if the A's offense performs as a lot of people predict, and if the A's current pitching staff, kind of scuffles a little bit as some folks predict, you can't keep Arnold down any longer than you have to. So, yeah, I can absolutely see a Kurt's path for him.
I tell you, the one player I'm the most impressed with, I don't even know. I think, I would say shocked at how good he's been is Darell Hernaiz. What's your take on Hernaiz so far? I mean, everything coming off his bat is hard. He's hitting 455. I get it, spring training, but we haven't seen this from Darell Hernaiz at any time ever.
Well, Booney, I'm going to answer that question while simultaneously possibly alienating a lot of your listeners here.
It's all right. I do that all the time.
Darell Hernaiz is he's heading off to play in the World Baseball Classic shortly. And I really, really, really wish he wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm kind of indifferent towards the World Baseball Classic. I know a lot of people dig it, a lot of people love it, but I said this on social media and got all sorts of grief for it. I would rather watch an A's spring training game, be there
Me
for
too.
a spring training game, than watch a WBC game. And I really wish Hernandez was staying in camp to continue to build on that.
Yes.
To your point, yes, it's spring training. The stats mean nothing, but there's a rhythm, there's a routine that guys in camp they stay in, and who's to say what his playing time is going to be with this in the WBC? So, I was a believer in Hernandez a couple of years ago when he got him from Baltimore.
Yeah,
Hernandez had this interesting track record, Booney, where every time he was promoted in the minors, he struggled initially before he kind of got around the circuit the second or third time and he figured it out. I don't know where he fits in on the 2026 A's. I really think it's going to be a stretch for that third base job. I think Muncy's got the job to lose. He's looking more like a utility-ish guy, but I'm rooting for him. I really, really am rooting for him. And if he could become one of these guys that plays second, plays short, maybe a little bit of third, can spell guys throughout. Those guys are valuable. Those 25th, 26th dudes on the bench are absolutely valuable. So fingers crossed that he can keep it going. He's a good kid, tremendous work ethic. Had some bad luck his rookie year. We had that terrible lower leg injury that ended his season early. But yeah, man, he's clicking. He's clicking on all cylinders right now.
I can't imagine how he doesn't make the team with regard to how he's playing. Now, of course, you have Muncy's also playing great. So I agree with you as far as third base. I think the way Muncy's hitting the ball, the consistency of what he is doing, it's his. You have a veteran like Andy Ibanez, who's a left-handed killer. But I see a world where both Ibanez and Hernandez get on that roster. I think the guy who's left out, one of my personal favorites, probably, maybe the only A's fan personal favorite, is Brett Harris. And I don't think he's been bad. And those guys have just really, really played well.
Mm-hmm.
I have a hard time imagining that how he does not make the team. Is there any personal interaction? Have you got a chance to talk to coaches, players, said hello, or is it just watching the game? I saw your seats, if that's where your seats were. Unbelievable.
Yeah, no, I was up close and personal.
Jeez, that's beautiful. That's the best part.
Yeah, no, it's funny. In that environment, one of the things, the great selling points of spring training is that the players' guard is collectively down. They're there to work, certainly, but it's not that buttoned up professional approach you see them at the ballpark where they don't acknowledge fans. And I'm not knocking them, to be clear. I mean,
I know what you mean.
They get paid very well to do what they do, and they got to put that work in. But it's funny. I didn't get a chance to speak to any of the players or the coaches, but I was in proximity enough. Dallas Braden, color commentator for us, was over there signing. A tremendous ambassador for the game. He's engaging with folks. One thing I did want to point out was Jacob Wilson signed the extension. And I understand that his skill set still kind of polarizing between the stat heads and the casual fans. But I'll say this much about Jacob Wilson. That dude signed autographs for every kid that was at that park. He was the last one on the field, and he had to rush out to the field to get his work in, sign for the kids there. We're still early in spring training, Booney, so the regulars left around the fifth inning, kind of en masse. He stopped, and signed for kids, in the runway. He is going to be such a tremendous face for this team that it's even, I think, beyond what I had expected. I mean, he's smiling, he's gracious, he's engaging. It's so cool to see. The A's haven't had this collection of likability in so long that it's going to be really cool to see.
It's interesting. You talk about Jacob Wilson and the stat heads and everything you look at. There's a player that I've compared Jacob Wilson to in the past, and I think you may be able to appreciate the comparison, and I want to get your take on it because, when people think about Derek Jeter, they think about the championships and what he did, and that comparison is tough. But early in his career, the way he went about his play, the way he was looked at as shortstop, as far as not having a real powerful arm there or a serviceable fielder, his approach at the plate, the non-power. I see a lot of similarities in Jacob Wilson and Derek Jeter, both as second-year players. What do you think for somebody who understands that time of baseball and watched it?
I think the challenge for Wilson is just going to be consistency. He's always going to be burdened by the fact that he hit 400 in the minor leagues. It's small sample, small amount of games, but he was a 400 lifetime hitter in the minor leagues, which is unheard of. And I understand that a lot of those places are hitters' paradises, and I get that. The challenge that he faced last year was he got up to that molten hot start, which I think propelled him to that All-Star game nod. Before the injury, before the hit by the pitch, the numbers started kind of backing up a little bit. He got hurt, tried to play through it. That affected him. Then he came back in the second half and finished the season strong. So, you're talking about the comparison to Jeter. That was, for all of Derek Jeter's pros, cons, however you want to, put him in the baseball annals, the dude was just ridiculously consistent, right? It seemed like even the slumps were just like, okay, he was doing a million other things to help the Yankees out. And I think that's what the takeaway with Wilson's got to be. This offseason, he said he put some work in, got stronger. Yesterday, at Surprise, he hit one like 375 feet over the left field wall. And he is so fascinating, Booney, because, he's putting the ball in play, not a lot of exit velocity. But when he forces hitters' counts and he makes that pitcher come to him and he can gear up to hit one out, he can do that. So I think just trying to find a way where he can get that balance and maybe incorporate a little bit more of that. You know what? I'm going to put a good swing on this, and the sky's the limit for him. But again, it's the consistency, right? And hopefully he can find that rhythm, find that routine, and most importantly, Booney, find a place in the batting order. And I need to talk to Katse about this today. Find a place in the batting order.
I heard he listened to you. I thought you gave him the spot. He's leading off today.
He's leading off today, and I give myself credit. I was yelling at Katse through the net yesterday. I think that's where he's best fit. And I know there's a little bit of controversy about that. I think his numbers in the leadoff spot weren't great compared to other spots in the order. But I'm just throw him into the deep end of the pool and let him do his thing. And if it doesn't work out, fine. But he's my first pick. I put him there. I'd leave him alone and see what he can be.
Wouldn't it be nice if we got second half 2024 Lawrence Butler back and swinging like that? I mean, I don't think there's anybody better in the leadoff spot. It's a big if he's back to that level of performance. But geez, that takes this offense to a different level.
Yeah, I'm optimistic that he can be better than last year. I think there's some differing of opinions on when and how much the knee injuries were bothering him.
Sure.
But I think that, to your point, Booney, absolutely. We can even get 75, 80% of that 2024 version and get him there. Obviously, not a traditional ideal leadoff hitter, but you know what? He crushed it in 2024 in the second half. So, I'll take the results over, who should or shouldn't be there.
That July, August, he was the best hitter in all of baseball, including Ohtani. I mean, he was unreal in that 2-month stretch. But again, we're pointing at a 2-month stretch. Now, I want to point you happen to be some good luck for Leo De Vries. He started the spring 1 for 7. You all of a sudden show up 2 for 2. What was your take on De Vries? What was his demeanor like? His size? How do he look in the field? Give everybody a little taste of who's supposed to be the next coming.
Yeah, Booney, I know that prospects are it's challenging. It's a fool's errand to put guarantees on these guys. But goodness gracious, he carries himself like a superstar. He's just got this from the haircut to the build. He walks on the field and you're just drawn to him. He looked great. He went 2 for 2 yesterday. Just great approaches in both at bats. Stayed on both pitches. Drove them up the middle, hard and loud. In the field, he's got some good range. I know there's some questions. Some scouts have some questions about his range long term at shortstop, but he went towards foul territory to make a play late in the game yesterday. He had a routine ground ball late in the game, and he had put a little bit of flourish on it. He kind of had his arms extended and he scooped it up and he kind of it was just this kind of, hey, you know what? It's late in the game in a
Sure.
early February meaningless contest, and I'm just gonna have a little fun here. Um, I'm I'm all in, and I know that I said the exact same thing with Jamie Arnold, so my guarantees are gonna start to
I
get a
mean,
little old.
they're the top two prospects by a long shot. So,
Yeah, but I
yeah,
I'm I
yeah.
I really really cannot wait for this kid to come through. And the A's pushed him up to Double A last year, gave him a little bit of challenge, and I know that the back of the baseball card numbers overall weren't eye popping, but my goodness, he looks mature beyond his years out there, and again, just the way he carries himself on the field, I think that there is potential for superstar status there, and that's insane to think about. In A's circles, I mean, with guys like Kurtz and Wilson in the everyday lineup, man, to put a guy like De Vries, potentially El Mutante, the mutants in there,
Yeah. Yeah.
dude, I cannot wait.
I want to get your take on a starting pitcher for yesterday, Jeffrey Springs. Now, I said it before the game even went on. I was like, okay, the issue, what I was worried about with Jeffrey Springs last year is he was coming off Tommy John. He doesn't have his full strength back, and you could see that. His fastball was topping off at 90, 91 last year. And when your out pitch is a changeup, every tick up on that fastball is important. First thing I saw yesterday, fastball 93, 94. I'm like, uh-oh, look out. He's going to have a hell of a year. I swear. Right after I said that, he gets shelled. What was your take on Jeffrey Springs? I was shocked at how the fastball looked, but I didn't see what happened until I saw the box score.
Yeah, it was an interesting start for Springs. I don't know. He never looked comfortable out there on the mound yesterday, and him and Austin Wins, who was catching him, they seemed out of sync a few times. Springs intermittently kind of kept peering into the dugout too. I almost thought he might have been hurt, and he would finish a pitch, and he would just kind of. And I know the A's have a weird pitch calling system, but it didn't seem to be related to that. So I'm going to just chalk it up as just kind of, hey, he's chipping off the offseason rust. To your point, the fastball was popping. If anything, he might have been a little too amped up because he was, really putting some oomph into some of those pitches and just missing on some close borderline calls. So I agree with you. Those changeup guys, if you can get that fastball in a good place where you get the hitters sitting on it and you can untie their shoes with the changeup, it's definitely a good thing. Springs, with Severino's struggles last year, was very quietly, I would argue the leader of this rotation. He's a soft-spoken guy who's, isn't too terribly demonstrative out there, and is going to be a big part of any successes the 26 A's might have. So yeah, a little bit up and down. He gave up the bomb to Bobby Witt Jr., but he joins a very non-exclusive club there.
Right.
So I'm not too concerned about that. So it's something to keep an eye on. I hope the fastball can still hit where it was hitting yesterday, and if he does that, he'll be fine.
Yeah. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about the big news yesterday, which was the article written by Heyman and Sherman on Nick Kurtz being offered an extension. And Towney kind of commented a little bit about it on A's Cast. And my take was they both left something out when they were commenting. Heyman and Sherman didn't say anything wrong, but they represented it at the article as Nick Kurtz just got offered the extension, which in fact, and it seemed like Towney confirmed, which we don't really know for sure what goes on behind closed doors as well, that, hey, that's old news. We had Force talked about extensions being offered to the core, and Sherman and Heyman left that out. They should have come and say, hey, this is when we reportedly heard the extension being offered was 2 months ago, which is relevant. But what Towney left out as well was the purpose and the main point of their article was a potential floor and a potential ceiling towards with the CBA expiring, which is relevant as well because now that changed the decision making. And we've seen in the past players go for extensions that bought out their pre-arb and their arb years because, hey, the rules change. and I talked about it yesterday, I still believe he will sign an extension. If that happens or not, we don't know. What was your take with regard to all that news that came out yesterday?
Well, I mentioned this on social media, Boone, and I think you responded in agreement.
Yep.
I think Hurts is signed. I think he's either signed an extension or they are in agreement on principle. And I say that because the A's have been very obvious about telling the public at large, hey, it's a different operation here now. We want to keep our guys. We want to sign it to extensions. And if you might remember, they leaked before the Rooker announcement. They leaked before the Butler announcement. They leaked before the Wilson announcement. I think Soderstrom was the only one that kind of caught me by surprise because I didn't remember hearing any specific chatter about that. So you've got 3 out of 4 instances where the A's or somebody close to the A's or the players involved kind of put it out there that, hey, we're talking. So Kurtz, I think being the ostensibly the next guy in line, it's not terribly surprising to hear this come out, and you're not wrong as far as like the oddity of not kind of disclosing when these talks began and where they might be. But I just think that if I'm wrong and it's not signed or it's not in principle, they will announce it this year. I have no doubts, and I really think, to your point about the cap on the floor that's being kicked around for the next CBA, I think it's in their best interest to get it out there now. Yes. Or as soon as possible, right? Hey, this is what he's signing for. This is how our payroll is going to look for at least 27 and 28. Particularly as a team that is not in that upper stratosphere of payrolls, let's get it out there now. It certainly kind of helps that discussion, right, of getting the floor and cap out there for public consumption. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's soon. I gave a couple of hypothetical dates, maybe opening day, maybe before his bobblehead in mid-April, or before the Kurtz bobblehead in Vegas during their residency in June. But I do think they're going to announce something. I think it's going to be soon. If I don't hear anything before the All-Star break, all right, I'll at that point I'll start to maybe reconsider my position. But I think between now and mid-July, A's fans are going to be ecstatic because they're locking that bipedal Buffalo up.
I don't know how Kurtz wouldn't, considering that what was, like I said, I think what was reported by Heyman and Sherman was relevant in the sense of like, maybe it's a scare tactic by the owners, who knows, but it's relevant. And when you're talking about, when you really break down what he's looking for and what he could potentially get, there's a lot of risk to what that next CBA can look like. And, but I think the big discussion, and I agree with you, I think they are in agreement. I think the discussion is, hey, whether it's going to be a team option in 2030, 2031, it's going to be a player option, because the A's historically have been team options for the last part of extended contracts. Not that there's a lot of them, but as far as that goes, what's your plan today, man? Give us a little. Let me live vicariously through you for a few minutes, man. Because I'm looking right now over at you, and I'm happy and I'm angry at the same time. I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah, man. Today is heading out to Mesa, Hohokam, to see the A's play the Giants at 1:00 local time there. I'm very excited. We get Luis Morales on the mound.
De Vries in the starting lineup.
De Vries in the starting lineup. We get Jacob Wilson leading off. Kurtz hitting
like
second. This is like all of my off-season arguments and strident positions just all coming to bear today. One thing, Booney, I really, really, really want to point this out, and I mentioned this online yesterday. The number of A's fans at Surprise was incredible. Really? I've been coming out here since maybe 2012 with my son's travel ball, and then once he aged out of that, I kept coming out, and it was always, you go to the road games, and you'd always see a small smattering of A's fans, but Booney, I kid you not. It was probably about 25% A's fans. Now, again, it was about 4,000 people here. I'm not saying that it was a swarm of green and gold, but it was more than I've seen in at least 10 years. And kids with Wilson, Kurtz, Butler jerseys, the vibe was not at all what I expected. And I wish I had asked some of these people, where are you coming from? Is it the Las Vegas
Yeah.
push? Is it folks in Sacramento making the trek? Is it OG Oakland fans who are still supporting? Because it was great to see, man. And I'm expecting, particularly with the a rival like the Giants, it's going to be packed at out in Mesa. Looking forward to it. And again, there's no better vibe than spring training. Booney, I'm going to force you to commit to come out here next year. We're going to come out here. We're going to watch. We're going to drink beers.
Absolutely.
I have connections. I will get some seats, some beers. We'll make the magic happen, brother.
I love it. You already made a trade for Tatis, I hear, or Hernays. Hey, yeah. Hernays might be better right now. Hernays might be better.
Funnily enough, there was a Padres scout at the game yesterday behind home plate. Surprise is interesting because the seats right behind home plate are for executives and scouts. So the closest the fans can get is just off angle to home plate. And there was a guy in Padres gear with a radar gun and a notebook and the whole nine. So if the Padres and Royals or the Padres and A's or all three teams make a three-way deal between now and opening day, Booney, we broke news here. We broke that news here. So I'll make sure that Heyman and Rosenthal give you all the credit.
I think I saw your tweet this morning. And I think you nailed it. Through all the crap, through the move, this and that, it's really about the next generation of fans and hope they get to enjoy this sport, what is athletics baseball, because it is different. It is beautiful. And I think at the end of the day, we have a different pass on how we get there, but the end message is the same. And I 1,000% agree with you. It is about that next generation being able to enjoy exactly what you're enjoying right now and how cool it is and the purity of it and the whole thing of spring training and getting ready for opening day. Nothing better, sir.
Nothing better. And I really, just to put a period on that point, I know that there's been pain and there's been, tears shed over the last few years of A's fandom. I get it. I empathize completely. But if there's anything good that can come out of this, if we can give that next generation, those kids with their balls in hand and the players' names on their back, let's do that. Let's push this. Let's find their love, and let's you and I give that love and that joy to the next generation. So after we're long gone, they can hold this game near and dear as you and I do.
You nailed it, man. You nailed it, Aaron. Enjoy yourself out there, man. I'll be thinking of you for the next couple days. Have a couple cold ones. And have a blast, brother.
Thank you, brother.